Okay, this is elapsed time vocational math, part 1. So for this, you will need the note-taking guide for elapsed time. So the objectives for this lesson is given the starting time and end time, find out how much time was spent doing an activity. Given a start time and the amount of time spent, tell the finishing time. And given the ending time and the amount of time spent, tell the starting time. So the first question on your note is, what is the elapsed time? So the elapsed time is the amount of time between the start time and the end time. To find elapsed time, think about the number of hours and minutes that pass. First, think about the number of hours that pass and then the number of minutes that pass. Pause the video at any time when you need to write down notes. Why do we need to know this? First of all, we need to know this if we end up having a time card. So if you need to fill out a time card, that is a reason why you might need to know this. Also, if you ever want to make plans or write a schedule, you need to understand how much time goes by so that you have the right amount of time for each task. You also might want to know if you're doing any daily chores like cooking or creating things, how long things are going to take. So this is a lifelong thing that you will use outside of school. Remember, you need to understand that we have AM in the morning and PM in the afternoon and evening. But one thing that really finds out is what we call as military time. And this video here that really explains it well will be available in the same folder. So it's important that you're watching that. But military time really is as a 24-hour time. So if you've never heard of military time, I would recommend that you watch that video, because lots of different jobs, including nursing, will use military time. So it's a 24-hour time. So 1:00 p.m. will be said 1,300 hours. So have you ever heard that 1,300 hours? We'll have dinner at 1,600 hours. That's every time for 24 hours has a different amount. And that's really important in healthcare. So sometimes finding elapsed time is very easy. For example, just thinking 1 hour away, you might say 3:17 to 4:17 is an hour. And then another time might be 11:53 to 12:53, or 7:43 to 8:43, or 2:51 to 3:51. So sometimes, many times, you just use your fingers to count. I work from 4 to 8, 4 to 5, 4 to 6, 4 to 7, 4 to 8. That'd be 4 hours. Another time that's on your method, on your notes, is called the timeline method. You can see here that you make a timeline, like how many minutes, and then how many hours, and then that many more minutes. So you would know it'd be 4 hours plus 12 minutes and 19 minutes, which would be 31 minutes. So it'd be 4 hours and 31 minutes. So a timeline, or actually writing out the hours, sometimes is a nice another way to do elapsed time. So the way that we are going to work on here as a class is called the calculation method. So in your notes, to find elapsed time, subtract the earlier time from the later time. Or I would definitely try to write this: elapsed time equals the final time, subtract the starting time. So whatever way your brain helps you remember what to do, make sure that you're filling in the notes and then writing this down here. Okay, you can find example 1 on your notes. So it is really important while taking notes that you're showing me your work, otherwise it won't count. So this is actually now the practice part of the lesson. We've gone through the lesson and this is practice. So this is what you will get credit for, is doing the practice. So we're going to start by doing 1 through 4, but first we're going to look at the 2 examples. So let's say you work from 2:15 to 10:30, okay? The latest time, subtract the earlier time, okay? So you can see they did 10:30, subtract 2:15. So it's really important when you're doing this that you are looking at, this is the minutes and these are the hours, kind of as two separate problems. 30 subtract 15 is 15. 10 subtract 2 is 8. So it'll be 8 hours and 15 minutes that went by from 2:15 to 10:30. Now let's say you get up early at 6:45 and you work till 12:56. How long did I work? Okay, you're doing the same thing. You're subtracting 56, subtract 45 is 11, and 12 to subtract 6 is 6 hours. So along you have room here to write each problem. So if I'm going to write number 1, I would write 11:15, subtract 9:15. 15 minus 15 is 0. 11 is 2. So my answer for this one would be 2 hours. Okay. We also abbreviate. Okay. A lot of times we're using right here H for hours and min for minutes. Okay. So when you're writing your answer, then you're going to write number 2. You're going to write 11:50, subtract 8:30. Work that problem. And then you're going to go 3 and then 4. Okay, so this is your practice. So once you probably want to pause the video and finish working those problems. The next part is example 2, and this is a little more complicated. But you have to remember that 1 hour equals 60 minutes. So this gets a little more complicated because of subtracting. So for all the times that you worked subtracting and you would borrow, you would always borrow 10, but we aren't borrowing that. We're borrowing actually 60 minutes. So if you look at this, here's your problem. I'm doing 8:30, subtract 145, okay? I really need to look here. Bigger bottom, better borrow. If you remember that from on, this is a bigger bottom. So I can't take 45 from 30, so I have to borrow. But I'm not borrowing 10, I'm borrowing 60. So actually this is 7 hours and 90 minutes. Subtract 1 hour and 45 minutes. Now when I subtract, I get 6 hours and 45 minutes. Again, you're going to work these problems. So if I work number 5, I am taking 12:30. Subtract 8:45. Okay, my bottom number is bigger, so I have to borrow. So then again, I'm going to go over here and make this 11. I'm going to add 60, not 10, for an hour. So my new problem is 11 hours and 90 minutes. Subtract 8 hours and 45 minutes. Okay, so it's really important that you are looking at those and writing those out. And then again, you subtract the minutes and the hours, and you end up with 3 hours and 45 minutes. Now, it's really important that you're doing the rest of these 3 problems, and I'm seeing the work around here, okay? So if you have questions about this, make sure you're checking in and seeing what how to get help with those if you don't understand the borrowing. Otherwise, you'll need to move on to part 2 video, and that will go on for the rest of the worksheet.